Have you ever felt a loss so deep it makes the whole world go gray? For Matteo, a brilliant marine biologist, the ocean, once his greatest passion, became a source of unbearable pain. His wife, Sofia, also a scientist, was lost during a conservation expedition, and with her, a part of Matteo died too. He locked away his research, his memories, and himself, retreating into a lonely cottage by the sea. The rhythmic crash of waves, once a lullaby, now sounded like a constant, painful reminder of what he had lost. The world he and Sofia had vowed to protect was now just a backdrop to his grief. He wanted nothing more than to be left alone, to let the tides of time wash over him until he faded away. But one morning, something unusual happened. A single penguin appeared on the shore, right in front of his house. This wasn't entirely strange for the region, but this penguin was different. It didn't scurry away when he approached. Instead, it stood its ground, its head tilted, watching him with an unnerving, intelligent gaze. Day after day, it was there. It would waddle along the waterline, occasionally glancing back at Matteo's window as if waiting for him. Matteo tried to ignore it, dismissing it as a fluke of nature, but its persistence was disarming. It became a silent, feathered sentinel, a constant presence in his self-imposed solitude. He found himself watching it, wondering about its story. Where did it come from? Why was it alone? Why did it seem so focused on him? Slowly, almost against his will, the little penguin began to chip away at the walls Matteo had built around his heart. He started talking to it, first in whispers, then in full conversations, pouring out the grief he couldn't share with anyone else. The penguin would just listen, its steady presence a strange sort of comfort. It was as if this creature understood his pain in a way no human could. This daily ritual became the only thing that punctuated his otherwise empty days. He even gave it a name, Pico. One afternoon, as Matteo sat on his porch, Pico did something different. He'd waddled up the beach, stopped, and looked back at him, letting out a sharp, expectant squawk. Then it turned and waddled a few more feet, looking back again. It was an invitation, an undeniable, clear-as-day invitation to follow. Curiosity, a feeling Matteo hadn't experienced in years, finally won out over his apathy. He pulled on his boots and followed Pico along the rugged coastline. The penguin led him with a surprising sense of purpose, navigating the rocky terrain as if it knew exactly where it was going. It led him far from the familiar stretches of beach, towards a series of jagged cliffs he hadn't explored since Sofia. Pico squeezed through a narrow opening at the base of a cliff, an entrance almost perfectly concealed by shadows and overgrown sea. After a moment of hesitation, Matteo followed, crawling into the darkness. Inside, a hidden sea cave opened up, illuminated by a sliver of light from a fissure in the ceiling, and what he saw there made his breath catch in his throat. The cave was a makeshift research station. Laptops, waterproof containers, and data drives were neatly arranged on a flat rock ledge, all powered by a small, solar-charged generator. This was Sofia's secret workspace. As Matteo looked through the files, a story of incredible courage and chilling danger began to unfold. Sofia had discovered a massive illegal fishing operation. These poachers were using destructive, banned techniques, not just depleting fish stocks but tearing apart the entire fragile marine ecosystem. She had been documenting their activities, gathering evidence, and mapping their routes. The data was irrefutable, damning, and it was dangerous. Matteo realized with a jolt of horror that her accident during the expedition might not have been an accident at all. She had died. Protecting this truth, she had died trying to save the ocean they both loved. Standing there, surrounded by his wife's final, brave work, something inside Matteo shifted. The crushing weight of grief began to transform into a burning sense of purpose. This was Sofia's legacy. This was her last message to him. He couldn't let it die with her in this hidden cave. He carefully packed up all the equipment and data, his hands moving with a precision he thought he'd lost forever. Pico stood by the entrance, watching him, a silent guardian over Sofia's final secret. Back in his cottage, the dust covers came off the microscopes. The lab equipment whirred back to life. Matteo worked tirelessly, day and night, fueled by coffee and a renewed sense of mission. He cross-referenced Sophia's data with his own past research, building an airtight case against the criminal syndicate. The ocean was no longer a symbol of his loss. It was a battlefield, and he was back in the fight. With the help of trusted colleagues and environmental authorities, Matteo brought Sophia's evidence to light. The story exploded. The illegal fishing ring was exposed and dismantled. New, stronger protections were put in place for the coastline, the very stretch of ocean Sophia had given her life to protect. The day the news broke, confirming the success of their campaign, Matteo walked down to the shore. Pico was there, as always. Matteo sat on the sand and looked at the penguin. "We did it, Sophia," he whispered, tears streaming down his face. But these were not tears of grief alone. They were tears of pride, of love, of continuation. Pico looked at him one last time, let out a soft, almost gentle squawk, then turned, waddled to the water's edge, and dove into the waves. It swam out into the vast, blue expanse and didn't look back. Matteo watched until it was just a tiny speck, and then it was gone. He never saw the penguin again. Maybe it was a messenger, a guide, or maybe just a wild creature whose path briefly and miraculously crossed with his. It didn't matter. What mattered was the lesson it left behind. Matteo realized that healing doesn't mean forgetting the ones we've lost. It doesn't mean the pain ever truly disappears. Healing means finding a way to carry their love and their purpose forward. It's about letting their memory inspire us not to shrink from the world, but to engage with it more deeply. Sophia's love for the ocean became his reason to fight for it. Her passion became his purpose. Love doesn't end with loss. It transforms. It becomes the light that guides us out of the darkness, reminding us that even after the most devastating storms, there is still work to be done. There is still life to be lived, and there is still hope on the horizon. So let me ask you this. If you had the chance, would you be brave enough to reopen old wounds, if it meant honoring what your loved one fought for? Would you let their memory be the fuel that drives you to make the world a better place? Think about it. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time.